All right, the doorbell didn't ring this time. The last two times I planned to work on our Project TRX-4, the delivery man dropped off a Bronco and a Corvette, and those were some awesome releases from Traxxas. But I really want to work on this rig. You guys want to see it. I put up a poll in our community section, and you guys wanted to see me install the winch and the Pro Scale lights into this rig, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to get everything set up. I'm going to show you guys how to install this stuff. You already have a good idea of how to install the Pro Scale light set because I already did that on the Defender, but I'm also going to bolt on these Canyon tires on method wheels that come pre-glued from the factory. If you're not into gluing, you definitely need to check these out. Yeah, I'm gonna get the tracks off of this thing first, just so it's easier to work on, and then we'll get to installing these new parts. All right, so I got the tracks off our Project TRX-4. That's gonna make working on this rig a whole lot easier. Now let's talk about the Pro Scale lighting setup. I already did a video on this. I will put a card up above and a link down in the description so you can check it out. I'll just give you a quick overview of it here. This is an advanced lighting system, which means you could go and turn on the hazards, the turn signals, brake lights, rear lights, even turn on the high beams for the headlights. It's a really, really cool setup. And in this box, you get the module, you get the distribution block, some wiring stuff, a mount for the system. And the big thing is checking out this chart on the back. This is also on the Traxxas website. This will indicate what you need to put a advanced Pro Scale lighting system in your truck. It lists all the different types of lights and the installation kit needed as well for each of the kits. We installed our Pro Scale lighting system in the Defender, which required a whole new light set, which had the installation kit in it. But for the TRX-4 Sport, all I need in addition to the lights that I already have installed is this installation kit right here. And it actually gives me a few extra lights. Let's see here for the reverse and turn lights and the mounts, some extra wire clips in here, some zip ties and an instruction manual. So that's all I need to get this kit bolted into our project vehicle. Again, our project vehicle is loaded up with all of the option parts pretty much that Traxxas has to offer, with the exception of this and the winch that we're going to install. But let me just show you inside really quick. You get the instruction manual. Definitely read through this before installing it. And here's all the cool stuff in the kit. The distribution block with a heavy gauge wire on there, because that's got to take some abuse when you take the body on and off the truck. Here's the module, and there's some buttons on the module, so you go and turn on the high beams if you want to, the mounting plate, and again, those extra lights that come with the set. Also has the adapter to go in line with the motor so it knows when to hit the brake lights. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start throwing this in here. Again, check out that other video if you wanna see more details, but I'll give you a quick video walkthrough of it right now, and then we'll move on to the winch. All right, so I've got the Pro Scale lighting system installed in the body and in the rig, and just like my other video, everything went together fairly well. You really have to rely on the instructions, go through them first, and that will help you get through installing this with minimal problems. I kind of just had to stare at the wiring diagrams for a little bit. That's really the big issue is, kind of figuring out where the wires go, especially when you get to the back here. You got this distribution block with all the wires running into it, but just take your time, look at where the wires go, and the front lights as well. It actually gets swapped in the front of the TRX-4 Sport body, especially if you bought one with the lights in it, you have to swap it. I had to swap mine because everything is reversed now with the way this distribution block works. But the installation kit gives you the reverse lights, the turn signal lights, so that kit is mandatory when you're installing this Pro Scale lighting system into one of these rigs. But like I said, everything was fairly simple. I didn't install the max lead. The max lead is pretty cool, just for your information. If you have a TQI receiver, you could go and use the Link app, as long as you have a Link module to go and adjust some of your lighting. This particular setup here, I just have the TQ receiver, so I went with the standard wiring harness. They give you both in the kit. But just plug everything in. Make sure you run your wires nice and neat. They give you extra zip ties and little mounting pads to go and have the wiring nice and neat throughout the body. So take your time, do that so it doesn't get caught up in anything that's moving. It can slide out between the fender wells, get caught up in a wheel. Don't want your wires ripped out of your lights. But like I said, everything went together really well. I'm excited to see everything lit up on this truck and those turn signals working. Now it's time to move on to the Pro Scale winch. I'm really excited about this. This thing looks absolutely awesome. Check this thing out. I mean, the winch itself has this nice molded housing to it. Looks almost like a Warren winch. Of course, it's got the Traxxas logo on there. Got this plastic chromed fair lead here and this remote. It's got an orange remote, so if you go and drop this thing when you're out on the trail, you have a better chance of going to find it. And it's really cool that you can just go and operate this thing from a remote, whereas on some of the older winches that I had, I'd have to go and flip a switch inside the truck. So I really, really like that. But this gives you, I think, everything you need to install it. Let's see, down here in the bottom of the box, we got some wires and stuff like that. We'll see how that goes in. But there is actually a new bumper. I should have mentioned that. So this is a new bumper that will allow you to mount the winch right up to it. You won't be able to do that with the stock bumper. Maybe you could with some modifications, but it's probably easier to just go and install this bumper on the truck, which is what we're going to do. And just since we're talking about the different accessories that they have for it, they also have different ropes. So you could go rewind your winch with a gray rope or a blue rope. I am going to keep the bright red on there just because it looks pretty cool, and I want to get this thing out and test it. I'm really excited to try this out as well. So I'll throw the video camera on the truck now and I'll show you how this thing bolts in. So here it is, the Pro Scale winch installed, and that went a lot quicker and easier than I thought it was. In fact, I was motoring along with the install and forgot to take some of the video, so I had to go take it apart again, reshoot it, and put everything back together. But the installation was really, really smooth. Actually, you could go and mount the Pro Scale winch on a factory bumper. I was playing around with that, and they give you these little metal guide pins that go in the back of the fair lead area here on the stock bumper, and you slide this winch right into it. There's a screw hole in the back to mount it, and bolt bolt it right up. Now the reason why they have different bumpers available is because of the light bar here. So you can see it's relocated down here to the bottom, where in the factory bumper it's up here up top, and that's why it won't mount in that area. So that's why they have these bumper options. That's pretty much the only reason that I could tell, is so you could retain that front light bar, which is great. I mean, because I love that light bar. But this is a really, really nice winch setup. All the wiring just runs right to the back. They give you the Y harness in here to splice into the speed controller. The only thing now is I've got so many accessories in here that I have all these little JST connectors all over the place. I'm gonna have to neaten that up later, but it would be cool if they came out with some sort of power bank or something like that to clean the wires up in here, because it's getting kind of messy with everything in there. Not really complaining because it's gonna look really cool, but there is a lot of wires going on. And then there's a wire for the remote, and you just route that to the back, secure it so it doesn't get wrapped up in anything. But really nice looking winch, looks solid. And here, I gotta talk about my favorite part of this, the freewheel option. So you go and push in on the end, the little gray barrel here, and you could just freewheel the winch out. How cool is that? You don't even have to use the remote to pull the cord out. That's really awesome. And then to wheel it back in, you have to use the remote, obviously. But you know, the red cord looks pretty cool. Like I said, they have two other options. I might put that blue option on. They have a gray option as well. They have a little retainer on here just to make sure the hook doesn't go back in through the fair lead. They got a little rubber retainer on the hook that they supply. It helps keep the hook on whatever you attach it to. And they even give you a little pull strap as well with the Traxxas logo. I think that's pretty neat. And if you wanted to go and mount this on some other vehicle, maybe an Enduro or an SCX-10 or something like that, they also give you a fair lead to bolt onto the front of the winch, and you could go and custom bolt it to whatever bumper you have. There are 4 screws on the bottom to secure this winch to it. But this really easy to operate up or in and out button, and you can actually rebind it. That's what the little red button on top of the winch is for, and I believe that's what this channel button is for here on the top of the remote. There is, just so you know, a little piece of plastic in there that prevents the battery from draining while in shipping, so just pull that out before you use it. But this looks pretty awesome. It feels pretty solid. I mean, the flex is only in the bumper, and from what I gathered, this winch could pull 10 pounds. So if you got a 10-pound rig, it should do some pull-ups. I don't know if I'd want to try that, but that's what they say. It pulls up to 10 pounds. So I'm gonna go bolt up the new Method wheels that have the Canyon tires pre-glued to them. Another option just available from Traxxas if you like glue tires. Better than beadlock tires. Yeah, I'm just gonna try these out, see how they do. But I'll bolt those onto the axles and we'll head outside so you can see this thing on the trail. I'm not sure if I said this before in any of my other videos on this rig, but I absolutely love this truck. I have such a blast with it every time I take it out and drive it, and now with these extra accessories on here, it's so much more fun on the trail. The Pro Scale lighting system is just cool. I mean, I said it in the other video, it's a lot of fun to have in this rig. The hazard lights, I love driving around with the hazard lights on. I think that's just awesome. The turn signals, they work. You turn the wheel, the turn signal will come on, and then you start to proceed through your turn, and it will shut off for you, which is pretty neat. Did I use it often? No, I just pretty much ran the hazards a lot and or just shut them off completely, which you could do. The other cool feature is being able to shut off the headlights and the tail lights, and when you do that, you can see the brake lights much more easily than when they're on. The reverse lights are very cool. I also like that you could change the intensity of the lights. You could turn it from low beam to high beam, and even the intensity of the light bars as well. That's pretty neat, but a lot of it's done through the module. You have to reach in through the body, push the buttons, the mode button and the signal button. That's with the TQ radio system. If I had my TQI set up in this truck, I could go and use the Link app, so something to consider. But I think it's pretty cool. I definitely like running around with the hazards on. The only thing with the Pro Scale lighting system that I wasn't too big of a fan of is the way I wired it. I had the scene lights and the rock lights wired into the module mounted to the truck, and so when you turn the truck on, those lights are on, and there's no way to shut them off from what I could tell with the TQ radio system. They're just on, so it's kind of odd driving around the day with your scene lights on. I'm okay with the rock lights, but the scene lights, it was a little odd there. I saw that you could wire it to the distribution block that's attached to the body. However, the port that it was in was for what I was using for the light bars. So maybe there's a way to wire it. I'm not 100% sure. If you know, please let me know in the comment section below. Let everybody else know. That would be a huge help. But nonetheless, the light system is very cool. Now onto the winch. This thing is absolutely awesome. It has a ton of power. Didn't have a lot of scenarios out on the trail where I needed to use it, so I kind of made some stuff up where I had to pull the truck up over a dirt mound, and it was able to do so. There is some flex to the bumper, obviously. The bumper is plastic, so you'll see it flexing a little bit as it's pulling to the truck. But you should just use your throttle to assist the winch, in pulling the truck up and over the obstacle. Nonetheless, I went and really wanted to test it, see how it would handle just pulling the truck by itself, and it did. I mean, I didn't use the throttle at all, and it pulled this truck up and over a dirt mound with ease. And I did it a couple times and was actually able to overheat the system. And instead of it burning out, what happens is it goes into a cool down mode. You get a little flashing light on the transmitter here on the remote, and you know to let it to cool down. But it works. It works really, really well. Love the free spool option. So easy to just push the button on the side, let everything out, attach the rope to a stick or something like that, and then pull the truck up and over the obstacle. Or you could do it with the remote as well. You know, you could just let it out with the remote and then pull it in. But this system is awesome. Super easy to bolt in. Don't really have any complaints other than it stays on all the time. So here's my truck. It is completely off. There's no power on the radio, as you could see, but watch this. I could go and take the wire or the rope here, and if your battery's plugged in, this is powered on. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you always unplug your battery. I mean, that's just the best practice with a LiPo battery, but make sure you do it. So, any piece of electronics will pull some power, even with everything off. Even the speed controller, when it's off, it'll pull some power. Always unplug your batteries when you're done using them, and that's the case here with this. Oh, there were a couple questions that I wanted to answer from the other video. I'll answer it here. One of them being was, can you use a different speed controller with this system? And I just basically threw in an old Tamiya speed controller that I had laying around, kind of just jammed the wires into the battery plug there and use a mini JST connector to power everything, and it worked. I was able to power up the lights and everything. So yes, I do believe you can use an aftermarket speed controller with it. The only thing I didn't test, and sorry about that, was the reverse lights and the brake lights. I didn't test that, but all the scene lights came on, and of course, the truck was powered up. The other thing was the lights. Do they run down the battery anymore? And to be honest with you, I haven't driven a full pack through this, so I don't know. Do I think it would? Maybe it would pull a few minutes off of your run times at most, I think. But you know, these are LED lights. They don't pull a ton of power. I don't believe they do even with a high intensity. Again, maybe it is a bump up, obviously, to brighten it, but I don't think it's going to dramatically reduce your run times. Other than that, you know, what I told you about the rock lights and the scene lights on there, these are just some great plug-in and play accessories from Traxxas. Again, they're really stepping up, you know, what they're offering for these TRX-4s, and I mean, you could just go wild with the build. I mean, this case in point, this thing is sick and it is so much fun to drive. All right, let me know what you think about the Pro Scale Winch and the advanced lighting system in this truck. Interested to hear your thoughts, and should I do anything else to this truck Traxxas-wise? I know we're going to build another Traxxas TRX-4 at some point with other optional accessories that are out there, but let me know if I missed anything from Traxxas. All right, guys, if you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button and the notifications bell. Throw the video a like. We'll see you back soon for some more RC Driver videos.